Do magicians ever truly experience magic? Some would say no, that knowing how a trick works kills the wonder. And others might argue that we live vicariously through the audience's reactions. But here's the truth. Magicians might be the only ones who ever get to experience real magic. Let me explain. Sometimes, during a magic performance, a magician will take a leap. A bold, unnecessary risk the audience will never see. A choice that could ruin the show or create a miracle. It might be a wild guess at someone's name or the exact card they only thought of. And when it works, which mysteriously it often does, it looks perfectly choreographed. The audience assumes it was planned from the very start. But inside, the magician knows the truth, that they just witnessed something truly impossible. What the magician won't tell you, what they can't tell you, is how exhilarating that moment really is. How beneath their calm exterior, their heart is racing. How they can't wait to share that story of their private miracle with other magicians. And they would never, ever admit this to an audience. Well, until now.
It happens a lot. This sort of stuff happens a lot, and you kind of try to milk it for what it's worth. There's one story that sticks out to me. A few years ago, I started getting into tarot cards, something that is completely out of left field for me. I was, growing up, wouldn't be caught dead in the tarot section or the New Age section, but I decided I want to kind of experiment with this stuff. So I took it with me to a gig on a boat. And doing my gig, all went great. After the gig, I'm on the bow, the front of the boat. This lady comes out, she's maybe 4 months pregnant, and she's asking me a lot of questions. She's very skeptical, but she seems interested, and she challenges me to tell her the sex of her child, her unborn child. So I don't like challenges. I normally shy away from them. I feel like it undoes a lot of the magic to play that game, but I had the cards on me. So I said, I'm not sure, I would just guess, but we could consult the tarot. So I took the cards out, shuffle them, have her cut, and then the wind kicks up and the top card flutters off. And then I take a look at the card and it's the sun, which is a depiction of a boy and a girl. This is the Tarot de Marseille, so it's sort of an older version of this, but it's a little boy and a girl. And I just immediately think, oh, both. Didn't know what it meant. I just said it and her face white. And she tells me, she says, I was trying to trick you. I'm having twins, a boy and a girl. And I had to do everything to not give away the fact that this was the most amazing thing I'd ever experienced in a magical context like this. Out of all the stuff that I'd practiced for years, perfecting and fine-tuning and making look the most amazing as possible, a gust of wind made something the most magical for this person and for myself. I think there's a lesson in that, which is to keep yourself open to possibilities.
One ring over here. 2 rings. 3 rings. 4 rings. What's this one?
Yeah. That's amazing.
Una vez estaba actuando en Ecuador y los días de antes me dijeron que ahí había muchos terremotos. Y yo dije, yo nunca he sentido un terremoto. Y me dijeron, ¿nunca has sentido un terremoto? No, nunca, nunca. Bueno, no pasa nada, porque voy a llamar a la embajada, voy a llamar al que hace los terremotos y le voy a decir, el día del show pones un terremoto. Y hice una broma. La gente se rió. Y al día siguiente, a los 2 días en el show, estaba performando, termino un truco y digo, ¿y ahora? Y de repente... Y la gente... Dijo que lo haría, dijo que lo haría. Y claro, ahora la pregunta que tú me habías hecho era, ¿qué hago después de eso y qué hago ahí? Now the question is, what I do when I fucking create an earthquake. And it's like, okay, I need to finish the show here or not. It's difficult. Yeah, I think in that moment and in other moments that universe give me that miracle is for me to experience. I need to continue the show because for them it's not more impossible.
It was a full moon night in Bali, Indonesia, and I was at one of those parties where, you know, there's a lot of hippies and it's in the forest, it's a full moon party, it's amazing. There's a lot of people, and I did some magic performances, and I decided to wander into the forest a little bit to just chill. And then there's this guy who showed up, and he was talking about this treasure. He's a local guy. He's like, I'm looking for this treasure. And I said, what treasure? He's like, yeah, it's a treasure inside a treasure chest. I said, but where is it? In Bali, somewhere on this island. I said, why do you look for this treasure? And he told me this long story about this treasure chest that he needs to find. And if he had find this treasure, everything changes. It's not about money, he said, it's about a legacy. And I said, what do you need? He said, I just need the key. I said, you need the key? Mind you, this is a guy we'd never met before. I said, what would you do with the key? He said, I will use the key to unlock this treasure. And it will help my friends, it will help the island, it will change everything. And in that moment, I opened my hand, I showed him the key. And we just stood in silence for I don't know how long. We just looked at the moon, looked at this strange moment. And he looked at me and he said, yeah, but I still feel like I don't know how to open it. And I said, I can show you. Then I handed him the key. I placed the key on his hand. And I said, will it to open? And in that moment, just like now, the key started turning. And it unlocked something. I don't know what. I don't know what the treasure is. And we never saw each other again.
Wow. And you happen to have that key on you.
I just had it.
Is it something you carry all the time?
No, no, I don't normally carry. But right before I left, I was like, you know, I take this. I put it in my pocket.
For no reason.
And it was just for that reason. It was just for that moment.
Just for that moment. Wow.
some people say it might be luck, but I like to believe it's really magic. It was meant to be that moment. One time I was in LA. I was doing a private party for Jason Statham at his house, and I already did a few tricks for him and all that. He already loved the magic, and but after he took me on the side to show two of his friends, right? And I did this one thing where I showed the cards and I say, remember one that you see. So I did it one time, two times, but then the third time he wanted me to do it, he misunderstood and he just thought of a card. He just thought of a card, but I didn't say to do that, right? And so he was telling it to his friends. I was trying to listen, but I couldn't hear anything. And then he looks at me and he goes like this. He's like, now, there's no way you can guess it. And I'm like, oh, I was so nervous because I'm thinking this is a paid gig, it's not at a bar or something. And so I looked at the cards and I looked through and I took the 4 of clubs and I go, you know what, let's go. I said, what card are you thinking of? And he goes, the 4 of clubs. I turned it over, like he grabbed me like this. He started like, he freaked out. He's like, how is this possible? And I bet he still remembers that day because it was like true magic. The only thing though, I think I even got so excited in that moment. Like now if it happens again, I think it's better to keep cool, you know, like be really serious and be like, the 4 of clubs, of course. But at that time I was like, wow. But I don't think they noticed because they were freaking out also, yeah. So that was true magic in that moment. I was nervous because I thought I was gonna fail. But then somehow I was like, you know what, I have to do it. Like there's no other way out of this, let's just go. And then it happened that day. But actually there's one card trick that's my favorite. And the reason it's my favorite, it's because when it happens, it's actual real magic. I'm not looking for a technique. All I do is ask for a card, name any card, and then I hand them the deck and I ask them to go like that one at a time. And whenever they feel like it, to stop. But I don't influence them in any way. I just do it. And I place the card in a position that I feel that they will stop. And depending on who it is, I place it in a different position, 15, 18, 10, 5. And 80% of the times it works. And I don't have to do anything. And I love when it happens. It fools a lot. They think there's a trick, but there is no trick. And I say, actually, it's real magic. They don't believe me when I say it, but it is true. And that is why it's my favorite thing to perform with cards is that, because it's magic to myself. I already know the rest will work, but this one is very exciting because I'm not sure if it's going to work or not, but it's beautiful to see that, you know, you can have, how to say, I don't do it like as a beginning trick. I do it more like after 10-15 minutes of doing magic to someone, so I can feel how they are, the type of personality, how they behave. It's kind of a way of, yes, I am tuned in the right way, because if it's working, it means that I do feel these certain things, right?
Nuestro amor es fuego y corren las balas de tu palabra fría.
New York City, usually you go out with a bunch of magicians to drink and stuff, and then, you know, we're at the bar, it was like indoor, and then there's an outdoor garden. Everybody started doing magic because you hang out with the magicians, right? So then I was trying to resist, but then the vibe was right, you know, and then I just decided to do a trick I've done thousands of times, you know, and it's like, you know, all card tricks is pick a card, you find it, and then they pick a card, shuffle, and I just show them a random card, and then the effect is all the bars have little candles, you know, I just put it on top, and it starts to, the fire dies out, and right when the fire dies out, right, I lift it up, and there's smoke coming up, but right as I lifted up the card, the lights turned off, right, and everybody's like, whoa, right, and then showed the card change to their card. Crazy, right? But it was just coincidence that they're like, hey, we can't stay out here anymore. It's, you know, midnight, we gotta all go inside, right? But that moment was so beautiful, right? What's funny is as a magician, you can't really be with them, right? Be a part of them. But what's funny is that you think that's what magic is, right? You think it's about connecting, but yet you have to put up that wall like, yep, this is what it meant to be, right? And the more and more I think about it, I just go, man, I think I should just react with them, right? Because it is genuine, right? It's not a fake reaction, right? And it gives you kind of like let you know that you're not just, you know, you're just showing something you love. And it also kind of gives you like this vibe of like, yeah, magic can happen to everybody. that's what you always wanted when you did magic.
Can you hold it like this direction?
Yeah.
Yeah, just concentrate, okay? The balloon, concentrate.
I had a friend back home, and we would do this two-man telepathy thing, you know, and he would call me early on in the day, say, hey, I'm going to go to a party, or vice versa, you know, I'm going to do this, I'm going to be performing here, so expect a call around like this time, let's say 10 at night. This one particular time, like I would know that, okay, it's almost 10, I'm going to get a call from him, and it's just a card divination, you know. He calls me and gives the phone to the spectator that he's performing for, and then they ask me what card did I pick or whatever that was. And you know, through our method, you know, I was able to divine and give them the card. And just real quick, I guess a little bit of exposure here. What was happening was we both memorized a deck of cards in its order, and through the way that I am given the question, I would know which card they're thinking of or they've chosen. And the thing was, on his performance end, he doesn't, he'll code me the card, but he's getting a peek or a look or a glimpse at a card that is either before or after it. So this one particular time, he calls me, and he's like, what card am I thinking of? And I tell him the card. And he usually does it twice, you know? So it's like, don't hang up, no, we'll do it again. Just with your free hand, can you cut the cards again? Okay, look at that card. And then, you know, he goes, okay, ask him what card you're thinking of. Asks me, and now I know the card, I divine. Pretty normal, okay? You know, they kind of freak out and scream, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, can't really say bye, because, oh, I just hang up. And like 10 minutes later, I get a call back again. And I was like, okay, that was quick. But it's my friend. And he was like, dude, the weirdest thing just happened. He had 2 decks of cards with him. One was the one that was set up. The other one was being used earlier in the night. People were shuffling and stuff. So when he did this trick, he took out the wrong deck of cards. The wrong deck of cards. So it is a completely shuffled deck. So he glimpsed the card that was supposed to prompt the next card, which is wrong. But twice in a row, so 4 cards got shuffled to the exact same place that they needed to. I didn't know this. He's like, dude, this is so weird. And then he couldn't do it again. But that moment was wild.
Axel, that was so beautiful. Oh my God. I mean, that take was amazing. Oh my God.
I did like a gig on a corporate gig on a golf course, and the people were so drunk, and it was terrible, and I was packing my stuff afterwards and felt like, what's the point of doing this? Why am I doing this? What's the point, you know? And then I went into town to meet my friends at the restaurant, but somehow I mixed up and I went into the wrong door, and there were like 20 girls having a bachelorette party. And they were like, "Hi, who are you?" I was there with a suit and my props, and so I went like, "Do you want to see a magic trick?" And I started doing my show for them, and they loved it. And the funny thing is, afterwards, they kept asking each other, "Who booked the magician? Where did he come from?" So for them, it was like a real magic trick, and somehow it was also a real magic trick for me too, because like a new opportunity opened, you know, with a new door, a new chance somehow. Like the universe heard me thinking, what's the point of doing this? And the universe kind of gave me an opportunity.
So I went to Paris with Hiroshi and Jerome to sleep in the floor, and one night came Manuel Duarte, mentalist in London, and said me, "Juan, I love your approach, that kind of symbolistic approach, the pencil thing, and the mindset of magic is not only about tricks, we need to take this again, that kind of thing." And said me, "Do you want to hack the mystery with me? I have one experience. It's not only a trick, it's only experience, but I want to share with you." And it was like, "Okay, I want to, of course." And said me, "Okay, take your phone and think about one person that you want to meet again, because it's like a long time ago you didn't meet together." And I thought one of my loves from the teenagers, and it was like, wow, we were super friends and we still being, but she moved to the other place in the other part of Spain, and 8 years almost no contact. And it was like, oh, I want to meet Maria again. And I thought about it. Okay, now you have the person, so go to the contacts, press the button, and to the count of 3, you are going to call 1, 2, and block the phone. And it was like, no, I want to call Maria and say something like it. And Manuel said me, "Juan, don't call now because it's 4 a.m. so but tomorrow morning, call Maria or send a message," and said only this. Maria, yesterday someone tell me, think about one person you want to meet again. And the first person who came to my mind was you. So do you want to meet again? That's the only thing you need. And it was like, wow, yeah, of course. And suddenly he said, and say hello hello to Maria from Manuel Duarte. So like to know the name is like the effect, but it doesn't matter. The crazy thing is now, I go to sleep, I wake up, go to the breakfast, Manuel Duarte came, "Hey, did you text Maria?" "Oh, not yet. I want to eat something and then write a beautiful message for Maria." And in the middle of the breakfast, tiling, one notification, Maria. I open, "Hey Juan, I move again to Salamanca, to your town. We are going to be neighbors again." Do you want to meet again?
As someone who knows methods and everything else, are you open to the idea that there might be something more to this, like something else is going on?
Yeah, absolutely. I 10 years ago, this would be crazy to think that I'd say that, but yes, I find the more I play, the more things like this tend to happen.
But I do believe it's some sort of connection between people. You know, sometimes people, they say read minds or telepathy, but I think there's a little bit of that where you can be in sync with someone in that moment, and you're almost, it doesn't make sense, but you're so confident about it, and then it works. And somehow at the beginning you're surprised, but then not, because it's kind of like, yes, of course, it had to work, although it doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
Could be that I'm just being more open to taking chances, and poetic coincidences are taking place as a result, which I would argue is magic in itself. It could be some kind of deeper synchronicity at play. I don't know, but I do know that it ultimately feels more magical for me, feels more magical for the people experiencing it, which is the goal. So yeah, I would say that this is something that couldn't happen if I had a preconceived notion of what is supposed to happen. It would be impossible.
Yeah, I think magicians, because we know certain things, we have some secret knowledge, so to speak, it's easy for us to lose touch with the fact that we don't know. So what I like to do with the magic that I do is I create conditions for fake magic to induce real magic. So through fake magic, sometimes we can create moments of synchronicities or something that is larger than what we can control. And to me, it's always important not to lose sight, because I know certain things, I've learned certain things. And I think that's an important point of view of a magician.
Yeah, I feel we need to have that kind of emotion of the beginner when want to do something, and it's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, new energy, like probably it's not working, or I don't know, but it's not about that, it's only about
curious,
creative. Yes, creative, yeah, to learn, to help, wow, yeah.
Maybe it is just luck, or coincidence, or synchronicities that govern these events. But I find it to be one of life's greatest ironies, that as magicians, we are some of the most disenchanted people. What if we stopped pretending to be a magician and instead began living as one? Wouldn't that be a neat trick?
Yeah.
Zachary.
Oh.
Shit.
Wow. Wow.